Hello, and welcome to Scholarships 101. My name is Michael, and this is my colleague Kazil, and we are here to talk to you about applying for the University of Alberta entrance scholarships. Before we get too far into this, we first want to provide a land acknowledgement. The University of Alberta respectfully acknowledges that we are located on Treaty 6 territory, a traditional gathering place for diverse Indigenous people, including the Cree, Blackfoot, Métis, Nakota Sioux, Iroquois, Dene, Ojibwe, Saulteaux, Anishinaabe, Inuit, and many others whose histories, languages, and cultures continue to influence our vibrant community. Both of us have been working here in student support, specifically in financial supports and scholarships, for many years. I believe over 10 years combined between us. We are both passionate about providing a fun and informative experience, whether or not that's at open house or at any of our individual presentations. So today we're going to go over the academic costs, the scholarship, specifically the admission and application-based parts of the scholarship, a quick review of the application, some tips and tricks, and then we're going to go over the timeline and what you should expect. Now, we do want to point out this is specifically for entrance awards. So if you're looking for awards for being a transfer student, so someone with previous post-secondary experience, if you're applying for a professional degree like law, medicine, or dentistry, an after degree, or a graduate program, whether that's master's or PhD, those ones will not be covered here. For those applying for a transfer or professional, what we call continuing and professional awards, those will open up on January 15th, 2024. For graduate awards, please contact the Faculty of Graduate Studies and Research, as they'll be able to help you figure out the best awards possible to apply to, as some of them will be at the department, some with the Tri-Council Research Societies, and some with the faculty itself. Now, as you may see with this red brick building, this is the administration building right at the front of the University of Alberta, and it is the home of the Office of the Registrar and the Student Services Centre. Here we can help you with things like financial supports, regarding things like scholarships, student loans, bursaries, emergency funding, as well as with more general services like transcripts, dealing with forms like RESPs or student loan forms, going over fees, providing advice on registering or on your program, as well as more general advice regarding other services on campus. Now, what we want you to know is that we're here to help. We're here to try to help you figure out your financial situation and come in with both eyes open so that you can make the best decisions possible. So we encourage you to take the time to think about how you're going to fund it, as well as understanding the full realm of what is expected for education. So we highly suggest that you look at uab.ca/costcalc. That is uab.ca/costcalc, because you'll be able to find out more about your tuition, your books and supplies, what it costs to live in residence, as well as some additional financial information that is going to be more specific. So things like, how much does co-op cost? Now, we do want you to explore everything that is going to be related to what you want out of your program. So if you want to go on an internship, if you want to go abroad, if you want to go to the Faculty of Arts School in Cortona, Italy, all of that information is going to be on our website, not necessarily at the cost calculator, but at the specific program you're interested in. We also suggest that you identify your financial resources, whether or not that's things like an RSP from family, whether or not you're planning to work in spring or summer, or whether or not, for example, you have an inheritance or trust in place. The main thing we want you to do is to not assume that everything is going to just fall into place. We don't want you to miss deadlines or due dates, and we want you to be proactive. We want you to understand and question the assumptions of how you're going to fund it so that you come in with a great financial picture. Now, as you can see here, this is the first year estimate for those entering for the 2024 year for about $6,800 for the first year for domestic tuition, or $31,000 per year for international tuition. Now, you can see these directly in the view book, which you will see if you're at the open house, or you can find online on our website. Now, I believe this is from page 28. This goes over the general cost of a degree. Now, you have to keep in mind that it's not just tuition, it's going to be books, it's going to be supplies, it's going to be how do you live, whether it's in residence, whether or not you're renting, whether or not you're dealing with a landlord, roommates. The total cost of a degree is going to be this amount, but at least 4 years worth. Now, a degree is going to be a valuable investment, whether or not that's for kickstarting a career, whether or not it's to achieve a life aspiration like helping people, educating people, healing people. It is something that you're going to be able to use to kickstart your journey, but the cost is significant. We want you to make sure that you plan for it, whether you need financial assistance right away, whether or not you're going to need it halfway through. We want you to understand the options available to you. Now, in terms of preparing your finances, the main thing, other than actually going through the steps of applying for admission, applying for all the different awards, we want you to be proactive. We want you to talk to your guardians, your parents. We want you to think about what you want from post-secondary and understand the costs associated. We specifically want you to apply for every award that you can. That's why we have a consolidated award here. But we also want you to be proactive. We highly suggest that all students who have any sort of loans sign up at both the National Student Loans Portal as well as the Alberta Student Aid Portal for those in Alberta, or your provincial equivalent if you're outside of Alberta, to ensure that you get updated when any financial change happens so that you can be proactive rather than reactive. We do not believe that you should need a degree to understand your finances, so we are here to help if you have any questions. Now, in terms of financial supports, there's a few different sections. Most people are going to be focused on scholarships and awards. Scholarships are merit-based funding. So merit-based funding is based on what did you do in academics, in leadership, were you highly involved in community engagement, what sort of accomplishments have you done? Then we have things called bursaries, which are emergency resources based upon what you need. So you don't necessarily have to have changed the world. You don't necessarily need to have been the valedictorian. We just need to know, do you need this money right away so that you don't have to worry about things like homelessness, starving, being without food. So we've got a few different sections of resources, but between all of them, with the vast majority being in our scholarships, we provide over $34 million per year in resources to students. Now, beyond simply bursaries, we highly suggest everyone look at federal and provincial student loans and grants. These are available to Canadian citizens, permanent residents, and refugees. The funding itself will vary. So this is going to vary based on your province, which is the province of residency, which if you're under the age of 23 and not married, will depend on where your parents reside and your overall financial need assessment. But generally, all government loans are better than the alternative because they are completely interest and payment free while you're studying full time. If you have any issues with government student loans and grants, please talk to us. We can help you understand them. As a less suggested alternative, but something that is there specifically for those in things like dentistry or med, or those who are in a financial bind, there are things like student lines of credits, or borrowing from family, borrowing from friends, or doing additional work above and beyond the minimum to provide that additional financial boost. These are options, but compared to the student loan and grant provided by the government, we generally suggest against things like student line of credit because they will cost you more in the end. We always suggest going for the payment and interest-free variety first. Now, I'm going to pass this over to Kizil to talk about the scholarship program here.
Thank you, Michael. Hi, everyone. My name is Kizzle, and I'm going to go over some information about the different entrance scholarship programs that we have for students at the University of Alberta. We currently have a statistic of 1 in 5 students receiving a scholarship, and we're very excited about that. In this section, we're going to be talking about 2 types of scholarship programs. So there's admission-based scholarships and application-based scholarships. And I'm going to go into more detail about all of this, but there's 2 different paths for you to get scholarships from the University of Alberta. And with both of these paths, we're looking to give out awards to students all over the world. So whether you're a scholastic achiever, community leader, or passionate advocate, the University of Alberta has scholarships for all kinds of students. Some of our scholarships are one-time payments. Some of them are paid out over 4 years, but all that information will be sent to you if you get a scholarship offer. And you can also always reach out to us if you have any questions. We're happy to clarify that information for you. So now let's start talking about actual scholarships and awards. So the first program that I want to talk about is the admission-based scholarships. These are scholarships that you don't even have to apply for. These use your admission average at the time of your admission offer. So when you get offered admission at the University of Alberta, you will have an admission average calculated in our system, and we will use that to consider you for admission-based scholarships. One quick note with this is that we don't recalculate your admission average. So even if you submit more grades later on throughout the year, or if you give us your final transcripts or whatever is needed for that admission offer, for scholarship purposes, we just use your initial average at the point of admission. So we will match you automatically to all the different scholarships you could be eligible for here. And then some of them are actually listed up on the screen here. So our biggest one of these is the Gold Standard Scholarship. This one goes out to the top 5% in each faculty, and it's a really competitive scholarship. We also have the Regional Excellence Scholarship and the International Admission Scholarship, and many more. These are all going to be based on factors like your admission average, where you're applying to us from, if you studied in Canada or offshore. So there's plenty of opportunities, but we will assess you for all of these automatically. And we will do that for you and send you offers typically within a few days of your admission offer being sent to you. So that was our first program. Now we're going to talk about application-based scholarships. And this is where we're going to spend a little more time talking about, because you actually need to submit an application for this, which I'm sure you can tell from the name. We're going to get into what the application actually looks like, and we'll answer as many questions as we can to make sure you know exactly what we're looking for on this application. So again, with this program as well, we're looking for scholarships for all types of students. We're looking for students with top academic achievement, impactful community involvement, strong leadership skills. We're looking for a passionate go-getter and demonstrated interest in an undergraduate program. These scholarships are valued between $5,000 one-time scholarships and scholarships that are renewable with a total value of $120,000 over 4 years. So lots of opportunities there. And by submitting this one single application, we will consider you for every single type of application-based scholarship that the University of Alberta offers. So between the two types of entrance programs that we have, the admission-based scholarships and the application-based scholarships, there's only one application you submit for you to be considered for every single entrance scholarship at the University of Alberta, and which we love. We love that we get to match students with a bunch of fantastic funding opportunities through just one single scholarship. So like I said, it is a single application for all scholarships. And one quick note is that in order for you to access the portal and the login for this scholarship application, you have to apply for admission to the University of Alberta first. So that's really important because, as you can see on the screen, there is the deadline to submit scholarship applications is January 10th, 2024 at 11:59 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. So that date of January 10th is really, really important because when you apply for admission, you don't get your login information immediately after. It can take a few business days normally for you to get that login information. So we recommend that if you're interested in applying for scholarships, you apply for admission to the University of Alberta well before January 5th. That's so that you have enough time to get that login and actually be able to access the scholarship application portal through the BearTrack system, so that we can make sure you get lots of time to read through the application, submit your answers, make sure that everything is submitted by January 10th, 2024. And it's just really important to be aware of that deadline because we're not able to extend it for any reason whatsoever. And the application will open on October 1st. It's currently open now. So if you have a University of Alberta login, you can go in and look at it now. It's there for you. Um, so you're going to fill out the single application based on your background experience, academics, and interests. And based on your application, we will assess you for a scholarship. So in your scholarship application, there are going to be multiple sections. There will be a summary of activities, as well as a personal statement, and the additional information and the educational goals and life circumstances section. And I'm going to go over that in a lot more detail, but first we're going to talk about what we're looking for in your application overall. So when you're going through that, we're going to be looking for three factors. And this is going to run through all of the answers. So whether it's a summary of activities or that personal statement, I want you to be thinking about these three factors when you're giving us your responses, because this is what we're going to be looking for specifically from you. So think of this as a rubric. Um, the first thing we're going to be looking for from you is your level of engagement. We want to see that you're actively involved in societies or clubs, volunteerism, mentorship, public services, and/or athletics. Do you devote an extraordinary amount of time and effort to these activities? And does your engagement stand out as a special talent and is evident in the positive impact you have on your community? So that's the first thing we're looking for is engagement. The second thing we're going to be looking for is your leadership. We want to see if you've held leadership positions with added responsibility over time. In these positions, have you contributed to your community in a meaningful way and have you reflected on your contributions? We want to see if you've developed skills and learned lessons from your leadership positions. So, to recap, so far we have engagement and leadership that we're looking for. And the third thing we're looking for is substance. So we want to know that your ideas are meaningful and insightful. We want to see that your personal statement is rich, detailed, and filled with excellent descriptions. Does your statement include examples demonstrating exceptional achievements and abilities while maintaining concision? Um, yeah, so just to recap one more time, we're looking for engagement, we're looking for leadership, and we're looking for substance. So when we talk about the summary of activities and the personal statement coming up here, just try to keep all those three factors in mind for each of your responses. All right, so now let's start talking about the actual summary of activities. So we want you to show us your passion. In this section, we're going to be looking for your top activities or experiences from the last 3 to 5 years. And we are aware that COVID has had an impact on these activities, so please don't worry that that will affect your potential for scholarships and awards. As long as you're addressing that engagement, leadership, and substance that we talked about, and doing your best to answer those questions, that's the best thing you can do for your application. With this as well, please explain your experiences clearly and in detail. So we're not really looking for a bullet point list. We really want to hear what you have to say, and we want to make sure that we're getting a really good idea of what your engagement activities actually were. So when you're talking about this summary of activities, please try to do more than just telling us the position title and the organization. We really want to know what you specifically did there. We want to know what was unique about it for yourself. And Mike is going to go into some really fantastic examples of how to tell us that in a little bit. But just tell us about why you liked it and give us details about the types of things that you did. Yeah, we really love to hear that. And also use this section to discuss the impact that your activities had on you and your community. And you do have 250 words in the summary of activities to talk about everything here. And another tip is to be sure not to use acronyms or shorthand here. So don't use a lot of abbreviations just because we might not know exactly what you mean if you use shorthand. So you want to make sure that we're fully understanding everything that you put in your response. Write it as if you're explaining your experiences to someone who knows nothing about you. Next, we're going to talk about the personal statement. So the personal statement is your chance to tell us about the things that are important to you, your significant achievements, what you've learned from your experiences, and the challenges you've overcome. Learning more about you will help the University of Alberta understand what makes you exceptional and how you may contribute to the campus community. So, when you're answering this question, please take time to reflect on what you've learned and what you've experienced and how this contributes to your goals. Again, in this section, try to avoid simply providing a list of your accomplishments. This is your chance to really help us get to know you. We're interested in your unique voice, so focus on what you want to say and be true to who you are. And we recognize also that you may have had to overcome some significant personal or financial challenges to attend the University of Alberta. And you will be given the opportunity to share those challenges in the additional information section in the educational goals and life circumstances tab, which is next. So for this section, though, we encourage you to use the personal statement section to tell us who you are, what you are about, and the achievements that you have accomplished. In this section, we'll evaluate you on a broad range of criteria, including academic achievements and personal experiences to assess you for scholarships. So please be sure to highlight whatever it is about you that you are most proud of. And also for this, you have 500 words to tell us about whatever you want to tell us about in this personal statement. Next, now we'll talk about the additional information and educational goals and life circumstances section. This is going to help us match you to all types of scholarships and awards. In this section, there's going to be a list of basically check boxes that are a bunch of yes or no questions. And that's because we have some really awesome donors at the University of Alberta who are helping to fund some entrance scholarships for us. And some of them might have some very specific things that they're looking for. So by answering these questions, it doesn't change your eligibility for awards. If we determine based on your application that you're eligible for scholarships and awards, then you will be getting them. But this will help us match you to maybe some more specific scholarships that our donors have for us. So please just go through this section and answer everything truthfully on whether or not you are involved in certain activities or maybe have certain experiences, then that'll help us match you to some of those more specific donor criteria. Then, after that section, we have the educational goals and life circumstances. This is where you can highlight your personal or financial obstacles so that you can focus on your achievements in the personal statement section. So, if you don't want to talk about any personal or financial obstacles in this section, you definitely don't have to. So the section isn't required. We just wanted to make something where you have an opportunity to let us know any context for your personal or financial obstacles so that you can really use all 500 words of the personal statement section to highlight your achievements and help us get to know you. But then, like I said, if there's context you want to add, you're more than welcome to, and this is a section for it. So that's the whole application. Then you're going to hit submit and you'll be good to go. Now I'm going to hand it over back to Michael, who's going to go over some really great essay writing tips and tricks for you.
Okay, thank you again. So let's talk about the actual writing of the essay. As you can see, our general ideas are write about you and your experiences that have shaped you, showcase your commitment to growth, and discuss how the scholarship will make a difference for you or those around you. But let's look at this in a bit more of a nuanced way. We want you to show your vision for who you will be and what you will do. What makes you unique? We're looking to understand what makes you different from 1,000 different applicants for that award. We want to understand what makes you a uniquely qualified student. And if we are able to provide you with money, what impact will you have on the world around you with that? We are also looking for reasons to believe in you and your future. So we want specifics. So we usually suggest something like the STARS method, where we want a specific situation, a transferable or actionable skill, the action that you've used, the result of that action, and then a self assessment or an understanding of growth. We are also looking for things like evidence of research into the program that you're applying for. We want to understand how your values that you're showcasing with your actions and your growth match the values of what you're going into. We want to see that you're a good fit with that campus community. Now, I know it's hard, especially with a 250 or 500 word essay, but it is a case where you should try to have a beginning, middle, and end. It is almost enticing to simply skip over the structure and provide as much information as possible. We suggest against that. We suggest providing something that creates a narrative that provides the correct idea of you rather than something that just bombards with information. It's much more about being persuasive than strictly informative. Now, in terms of the idea of defining moments, this comes up a lot with the activity summary because you can only focus on so much because there's very little in terms of space provided there to provide your essays there. So defining moments are usually considered to be when you changed, you grew, you made a difference. Experiences can be common, experiences could be unique. It's more a question of the impact that they've had. Most of the successful essays we've had in the past have looked into and provided information on that defining moment. Now, every experience is made up of moments. It can be a specific instance when something changes. It could be a series of changes that you only realize afterwards. But the deeper you dive into these moments that make up your experience, the more others can connect, the more you can provide that empathy, that ability for people to understand your position. Every moment, every day of your life is a story you could tell. You can start anywhere. You can think about an experience that defines you today, or in the past, or where you want to go into the future. Main thing here is consider how do these experiences make you a good fit for a scholarship, and focus on the moments that make an impact here. Now, in terms of this, be you, be creative. It's very easy to say that you want to be something like the next Warren Buffett. You want to be the next Bill Gates. What we want to know is how are you your own unique individual? Be creative, be unique. Tell us your passion. If you're excited about basket weaving and crochet, or you have a historical fascination with 1300s Renaissance period artwork, I don't know if that actually makes sense, but you understand where I'm coming from here. We want to know your unique understanding, your interests, your passions. We're not looking for a cookie cutter here. We're looking for people who have unique, interesting perspectives who can tell us about what is actually defining them in a clear and concise manner. We're not looking to have too much purple prose. We're not looking to have too many extra words there. We're not looking for someone who can go through a thesaurus. We want something that's clear, concise, meaningful. It should be something that is easy for us to read. It shouldn't have repetition. It shouldn't have acronyms, shorthand, or slang. If there are any acronyms, the rule of thumb, of course, is to provide that beforehand. Something we generally suggest against because the people reading this may not be from the same technical background that you are. If you put in medical information, because let's say you're volunteering at a hospital, we may not know everything that you're referring to. You may have someone who does not have any medical background looking at it. What you should do is you should make it so that anyone can read this and understand who you are and what you can provide. The other main thing I would suggest, apply early. Don't wait to the last minute. Procrastination is not your friend here. And ensure every section is submitted and saved. It's a case that if you end up past the deadline, even if you had created a draft copy, but you didn't submit it, it will not be accepted. Now, the timelines here. We do not start assessing application-based awards until all applications come in. So we're not going to look at any of them until January. There are multiple rounds of reviews because they are done in a blind review process. So we're not going to actually look at providing any offers until March to make sure that they are reviewed in an equitable manner. Now, generally, these scholarship offers will start in March, go until June. In cases where someone declines an award, decides they're going to a different university, decides they're not going to go to the university at all, decides that they're going to take a year backpacking in Europe, We will then reissue those awards in July, but the vast majority of awards are going to be out by the end of June. Now, we're going to use this application for scholarship opportunities throughout the entire award cycle. Now, we will try to give you some sort of communication by the end of July with an absolute yes or an absolute no, so that you're not waiting on the possibility of something coming out. Now, this is a case where we do provide the offers in rounds, generally about 30 days at a time. So if we provide you an offer in March, you're going to have 30 days to accept it. That's why if someone doesn't accept in March, then in April it'll be reissued. If someone doesn't accept it in April, then it'll be reissued in May. We want to provide enough time so that if you're stressed out by your finals, by a project, if you delay looking at it by a week, you're not going to miss out on the financial opportunity to go to university. Now, this is the end of our regular presentation. You can review our website at uab.ca/awards for additional information, or email us directly at awards@ualberta.ca. We also suggest that you reach out to our open house or come to any of our individual presentations. Thank you again, and I hope you have a great day.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, everyone. Hope you have a great day.